Well, hello, America. Many colleges all across the country last week, it was homecoming. Students celebrated, they had dances, they had parties, football games, everybody cheered. Also last week was Islamofascism Awareness Week. Boy, things have changed. And let's just say at our universities, the response was a little different than it was for homecoming week. It's bad enough when our universities were just liberal, but now some are embracing the hateful, oppressive message of Islamic extremism. So here is the point tonight. Our society has not become more tolerant. It's just changed targets. And now our American way of life is in the crosshairs, and here's how I got there. I want to start by showing two pieces of videotape. The first one is from Iranian President Ahmadinejad's recent appearance at Columbia University. Remember this?
We don't think it's necessary, before the speech is even given, to come in with a series of claims.
It's unbelievable. They're giving him a round of applause because he's chastising the people that came before him and said bad things about him. Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, round of applause, warm welcome from Columbia University. Oh, and for the record, it's not just me, it's the State Department that also considers his country a terrorist state. Now, next piece of videotape. Author David Horowitz, he's a 1960s-era peace advocate who now devotes himself to raising awareness of the dangers posed by radical Islam. Here's a clip from his appearance last week at Emory University. Racist, sexist, go away. Iran's murderous leader gets applause, and the voice of reason gets chanted off stage. Police, by the way, couldn't subdue the crowd at Emory, and Horowitz had to leave under armed guard. Tonight, America, here is what you need to know. Islamic extremism is evil, plain and simple, and it is time to put political correctness away and face the truth. Under Islamic extremism Sharia law, women are legally only worth 1/3 of a man. For accusations of infidelity or even talking to another man other than her husband, a woman can be stoned to death. Women can't participate in business or politics. Homosexuals and handicapped are sacrificed, usually by hanging. Children are not given access to normal schooling so they can be indoctrinated in radical Islamic belief. And some are specially selected to become suicide bombers. When the extremists don't agree with your political or cultural beliefs, they'll hijack planes and they'll fly them into buildings, killing thousands. If you're a member of the press, hey, good news. They may only chop your head off, post that video online. This is not opinion. It is documented fact. Ahmadinejad is the living symbol of hate and oppression in our world. Islamic extremism is the most dangerous and destructive force on the planet. Now, I know it's cool for college kids to be contrary and wear their cool Che t-shirts to poetry readings, but there's got to be a line in the sand that can't be crossed, doesn't there? Many campuses have zero tolerance when it comes to hate speech, and it needs to apply to people like Ahmadinejad and those who champion his evil beliefs. Parents, our universities have been hijacked, and it's not just by tweety liberals. It's by those who want to seem so open-minded that they'll welcome a modern-day Hitler on the campus, but they will not provide a forum for the dangers of Islamic extremism to be exposed. It is no longer about right versus left or Democrats versus Republicans. This is about ideologies. Some colleges feel that fascism is less oppressive than democracy and freedom. That, my friend, is a lie, and we cannot allow that lie to see daylight. If we don't get control and drive the hate mongers off of our campuses and away from our kids, we may find that the price of free speech is a lot higher than we think. Author and activist David Horowitz, driving force behind Islamofascism Awareness Week. David, you were lefty left. You went to Berkeley. You were there in the 60s. Now you see this. I mean, I cannot give the professors a pass and say, well, they just don't know that fascism, Islamic fascism is against gays and women and everything else. They have an agenda. Help me find out what it is.
Well, their agenda is that America, George Bush's America, is a greater danger than Ahmadinejad's Iran. And a primary goal of the left now is to prevent the United States from bringing this guy, to heel. They're defending the nuclear program of the Iranians, just the way they defended Saddam Hussein when George Bush attempted to get him to comply with the UN resolutions.
David, it is insane to think that they're just against George W. Bush and allowing this kind of stuff to happen. It's insane. It's not anti-American. This is almost pro-fascism.
It is. It begins with anti-Americanism because they see America as the great Satan the same way our enemies do. And I just want to say one thing about these obstructions and interruptions. Eventually, the universities will get enough police in force to keep these people at bay. This isn't the big danger. The big danger is the attempt to embargo discussion by using terms like hate speech. The reason for all the outrage on the left is the term Islamofascism, which I believe is a very perfectly accurate term for describing our enemy. The president was intimidated from using that term. He says we're fighting terror, but terror, of course, is just a tactic. It doesn't identify the enemy.
Well, how is it hate speech? How is it racist when Islamofascism? I mean, what about white racism?
Exactly.
I mean, isn't that hate speech?
Well, exactly. I was on, with Alan Combs the other night, and he said the term Islamofascism is hate speech. Well, that means you can't use the term. It's the way the so-called liberals, because these people aren't really liberal when you come down to it, are going to ban speech. So the worst thing that happened this last week, we had 100 campuses, we had very brave students putting on these events. Every one of those students was called a racist and a religious bigot. And that,
how is it a religious bigot, for the love of Pete?
It's ridiculous.
Do you think if the Pope had a moral squad and they were picking people up outside of Vatican City and throwing them in jail, or making sure that they weren't wearing too much makeup, or stoning women, or saying that they're only worth 1/3 of a man, do you think these people would welcome the Pope? And of course they wouldn't. I mean, what is going on?
That's exactly right. The term Islamofascism, first, doesn't mean all Muslims. We were defending most Muslims. If you believe that there are moderate Muslims, and I do, we were defending them. We were defending Muslim women from being abused. Jeez. And yet, we were called sexist because the terms are not used to describe anything real. What they are, they're terms to shut you up, to paint a target on your back and make everybody hate you so they won't listen to you to begin with.
David, I appreciate it. I have to tell you, I have no idea how long it is before we lose control of our country with the indoctrination that is going on right now. This is dangerous, dangerous stuff. Now, let me bring somebody else in who didn't get the same treatment that Ahmadinejad got when he went to Columbia. He was disinvited from speaking at Columbia University. Jim Gilchrist, he is from the anti-illegal immigration group for the Minutemen. And Jim, we've had you on before. I want to show a piece of tape when you were there. Can you roll this, please, Conway? Jim, tell me how that's not hate speech.
Well, it was more like a hockey game breaking out, as I recall.
I appreciate your sense of humor, and I know you want to go back, and, if you're ever invited,
Absolutely.
You'll speak again. I got to tell you something. I wouldn't minimize this stuff. That's hate speech. You want to talk about hate speech? There it is. They practically threw the podium at you.
They did. Actually, they body slammed the podium. I jumped out of the way so I wouldn't get my legs broken. And I didn't mean to minimize it, but this is so comical, the mentality of people who conduct themselves in this manner, particularly Columbia University and Emory University. They're literally staffed by a bunch of students who I would refer to as those who are intellectually frozen.
You know what, Jim? This is, correct me if I'm wrong, I see these students as brown shirts, as almost Hitler Youth.
Yes.
These are the same tactics that they used to shut people up in Germany.